Stop. Just for a moment. Stop trying. Stop holding everything together. Stop pretending you're okay when you're not. I already know you're not. You made it this far, carrying a heart that holds more than it was ever meant to carry alone. And the only thing I want you to do right now is breathe. You don't need the right words. You don't need perfect faith. You don't need to have behaved perfectly this week. You don't need anything in my presence except to be here. And you are. Tonight is not about religion. It's not about doctrine. It's about one simple and real thing. You are tired. And I am personally telling you that you can rest now. I know the exhaustion you've been carrying. It's not the kind of exhaustion sleep can fix. You've already tried that. You wake up after a full night in bed, and the weight is still there, exactly where you left it the night before. It's a weariness that goes deeper than the body, that lives in the part of you no one else can see. But I see it. And before anything else, before one more single word, I want you to hear what I said through my servant David, not as a verse from a book, but as my voice speaking directly to you right now, in this exact moment, on this exact night when you came here, carrying everything you've been carrying. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be greatly shaken. Psalm 62, verses 1 and 2. Read it again, slowly. My soul finds rest in God alone. Not in answers, not in problems being solved, not in finally feeling strong enough. The rest you are searching for tonight, real rest, the kind that reaches the deepest part of who you are, exists only in me. And I am here. I know what it feels like to wake up in the morning and need a moment before facing the day. That second between opening your eyes and remembering everything. And when the memory returns, the weight returns with it. You take a deep breath. You get up. You keep going. I know about the nights you lay staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that went wrong, everything you should have done differently, everything that still needs to be fixed and seems impossible to solve. I know about the moments when you tried to pray and the words simply would not come, when you opened your mouth to speak to me and only silence came out because you were too exhausted even for that. That silence reached me. I heard it. I know about the smile you put on your face when you're around other people, about the automatic answers you give because it's easier than explaining what's really going on. Because honestly, even you don't fully know how to explain it. It's just a weight. It's just exhaustion. It's just the feeling that something that should be working isn't.
And the part that hurts the most is not even the exhaustion itself. It's the guilt that comes with it. The voice that says you shouldn't feel this way, that people with real faith don't end up like this, that you should be more grateful, should be stronger, should be doing better than you are, that if you prayed more, read more, trusted more, maybe the weight would finally disappear. I need you to hear what I have to say about that voice. It is not mine. I have never spoken to you that way. Never. That voice that uses your own weakness as evidence that you are not enough does not come from me. I did not come into the world to condemn. I came to save, to restore, to carry the exact kind of weight you are carrying right now. I know you've heard this before. You've read these verses. You've sat in church while the pastor preached about laying down your burdens, and still the weight remains there, and that makes you feel even worse, because now it feels like even faith is not working. But let me tell you something that maybe no one has ever told you this clearly before. The fact that you are here tonight, tired, heavy-hearted, without beautiful words, that is not evidence that faith has failed. That is faith. Faith is not the absence of exhaustion. Faith is continuing to come back to me even when you have no strength left. Faith is being here tonight with a heavy heart and still choosing to listen to my voice. You did that. You are here, and I am not looking at you tonight with disappointment. I am not making a list of everything you should have done differently. I am looking at you with tenderness, with the kind of love that does not change depending on how much you are able to carry. You do not need to come to me already fixed, heavy, tired, full of doubts, with silence where prayers should be. I receive you exactly like this. I always have. And now I need you to hear something I once said out loud, in flesh and blood, to a crowd of weary people just like you. I say it again now, personally to you, tonight, with the same intention and the same authority with which I spoke it that day. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Matthew 11:28-29. Not just for your body, not just for your circumstances, for your soul, for the deepest part of you, the part that is more exhausted than anything else. Notice what I did not say. I did not say, come to me when you are better. I did not say, fix everything first, then come. I did not say, prove that you deserve rest. I said, come, present tense, imperative, now, exactly as you are. The exhaustion you feel tonight is not an obstacle keeping you from me. It is the invitation. It is exactly the condition I described. You fit perfectly into this calling. You were made for this, to find in me what nothing else in this world can give you. Not willpower, not more effort. Rest. The real kind, the kind that reaches deep. And tonight, I am not surprised by where you are. I was here before this even began. I am here now. Let me tell you something about the night I went up on the mountain and sat down to teach. It was not a crowd of theologians. It was not people who had everything figured out, who woke up every day full of joy and certainty. It was a crowd of ordinary people, tired of living under oppression, tired of trying to follow every rule and never feeling like they were enough, tired of a world that felt too heavy to carry. I looked at those people, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was not a list of rules. It was not correction. It was not a sermon about everything they were doing wrong. It was a declaration about who I came to bless. And I begin with exactly the kind of person you are tonight, because I want you to understand where you fit in that list. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5:3-4. Poor in spirit does not mean worthless. It means without pretense. It means coming to me without pretending you have more than you do, opening your hands and letting go of the illusion that you can carry everything alone, and in that act of surrender, finding the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven belongs right now to the one who comes to me empty enough to be filled.
You who are tired tonight, you who came here without strength, you who do not have beautiful words for prayer, you are exactly who I described on that mountain. And I tell you now what I said that day. The kingdom is yours, not after death, now. And for those who are mourning, and maybe you are not crying visible tears, but there is a crying inside you that I recognize, a pain that still has not found a way out. I made a direct promise. They shall be comforted. Not maybe, not if they deserve it, not after they prove something. They shall be. It is a certainty spoken over you that does not expire and has no exclusion clause. But I did not stop with the first two. I continued because there were more people in that crowd, and there are more parts of you tonight that needed to hear it. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. The meek, not the aggressive, not the ones who shout the loudest, but the ones who have been stepped on, the ones who swallowed their pain in silence, the ones who chose peace when they could have chosen war. And no one saw it, no one acknowledged it. Maybe even you have wondered if it was worth it. It was. I saw every one of those moments, and I kept them all.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. You who feel that the world is not right, who see injustice and something inside you cries out that things should be different, who long for a world where good is rewarded and truth finally prevails. That hunger is not naivety. It is an instinct I placed inside you, and I promise you, it will be satisfied by me. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. You who care about the suffering of others even while you are suffering, who can still feel someone else's pain even when your own pain is screaming, who gave when you did not have much to give, who listened when you yourself needed to be heard, who stayed when it would have been easier to walk away. I saw that in you, and what you have sown in mercy will return to you in overflowing measure. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Not the perfect, not the ones who never failed. Pure in heart means genuine intention, that deep in the center of who you are, what you truly want is goodness, truth, and light. Even when you fail, even when you lose your way, even when you cannot become who you want to be, the intention at the core of you still points to me. And I tell you, you will see me, not as a concept, as reality. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. The ones who build bridges where others build walls, the ones who pay the personal cost of bringing peace. I call them my children. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. Matthew 5:10-12. Those who were misunderstood, judged, who did the right thing and received criticism in return. I do not merely see them, I call them blessed, protected by me. I built this entire message intentionally. From the first to the last, every person I bless is someone the world does not see, does not value, does not reward. I came to say that I see them, that I value them, that my kingdom works differently from the world. And you, exactly you, with everything you're carrying tonight, you are on that list. No exceptions, no conditions. Now, let me speak about something else I know is happening inside you beyond the exhaustion. There is a voice that never stops. It is not necessarily loud. Sometimes it is almost silent, a constant whisper in the background of everything you do.
It is the voice that calculates, that predicts, that takes every unresolved situation in your life and starts building fearful scenarios. What if things never get better? What if it doesn't work out? What if I can't handle this? I know that voice, and I came to speak to it directly tonight. There was a moment when I was teaching a crowd, people with real problems, real bills, real families to provide for, uncertain futures ahead of them, and I stopped and pointed to the sky. Literally, I pointed to the birds.
Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, nor do they reap, nor do they gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they? I did not say that to minimize what you face. I said it because I want you to understand something about how I work. I care about every bird. I know when a sparrow falls. If I care with that kind of attention for such a small creature, what do you think I do for you? For someone who was made in my image, who carries the breath of my life, who has a name I know, a story I follow, a pain I feel alongside you. You are worth infinitely more than the birds. That is not poetry. It is the reality of how I see you. And then I pointed to the fields, to the lilies that grow without working, without spinning, without worrying about the next season, and said that not even Solomon, with all his wealth and glory, was dressed like one of them. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Little faith. I need you to understand how I said that phrase, not with contempt, not with impatience, but with tenderness, with the tone of a father who looks at his frightened son and says, "My child, I am here. You do not need to be afraid like this." Little faith is not insufficient faith. It is faith that has not yet learned to trust in the size of the Father. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Little flock. It is not diminutive, it is intimate. It is the shepherd knowing each sheep by name, aware that they are vulnerable, and choosing exactly those to say, "Do not be afraid." The reason you need not fear is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of the Father. It is the fact that I, the God who sustains the universe, who clothes the lilies and feeds the birds, deliberately, with joy, chose to give you not just temporary solutions, but the entire kingdom. That changes the question. The question is no longer, will God take care of me? The question is, do I truly believe in the size of the God who said he takes care of me? I do not ask that question to condemn you. I ask it to set you free. Because the moment you truly understand who I am, not as a concept, but as a living reality in your life, the voice that never stops will find something greater than itself, my voice. And my voice says, I am already in your tomorrow. You can rest now. Now I need to tell you a story. It is not a story about a rebellious son. It is not a story about repentance. It is not even a story about forgiveness, although forgiveness is there. It is a story about me. It is the most honest portrait I have ever given of how I feel about you, told to people who believed that some were beyond the reach of my love.
A man had 2 sons. The younger one went to his father and asked for his inheritance while the father was still alive. You need to understand the cultural weight of that request. In any society of the ancient world, it was the equivalent of saying to the father, "As far as I am concerned, you are already dead to me. All I want is what you have, not who you are." It was an unforgivable insult, and the father gave it to him. Not because he was naive, not because he approved, but because real love does not force. Real love lets go, even knowing what will happen. The son took everything, went to a distant land, and wasted every coin on a life that looked like freedom but was nothing more than noise covering an emptiness. And then came the famine, the poverty, the moment when he was standing in a pig pen and no one gave him anything. And then the text says something I want you to pay close attention to. He came to his senses. That is the moment. Not when he prayed a perfect prayer, not when he became a better person, not when he proved he deserved a second chance. The turning point was simply when he stopped deceiving himself and faced the reality of where he was. He prepared a speech. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants." It was an honest speech. It was a humble speech. It was also a speech that completely underestimated what was waiting for him. Because what happened next is the heart of everything I came to tell you tonight. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. Luke chapter 15, verse 20. While he was still a long way off, the father was watching. The father was waiting. Day after day, he would go to the horizon and look down the road his son had taken, not in anger, not to prepare a judgment, but with a heart that never stopped belonging to that son, even after the son had left. And when he saw the silhouette in the distance, still filthy, still smelling of the pig pen, still far away, the father did not wait. The father ran. In a world where men of dignity did not run because running was considered shameful, the father tore apart his own dignity to reach his son faster. And he ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. Before the speech, before any proof, the kiss came first, the embrace came first, the restoration came first. The son began the speech he had rehearsed, and the father interrupted him, not to rebuke him, to celebrate. "Bring quickly the best robe, the ring, the sandals, the fattened calf." The best robe, not just any robe, the best. The ring, a symbol of belonging to the family, not as a servant, but as a son. "For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Luke chapter 15, verse 24. Dead, not merely absent, not merely distant, dead and is alive again. Lost, not merely confused, not merely on the wrong path, lost and is found. I told that story with you in mind, not the son in general, but you specifically, with everything you carry, with everything you think disqualifies you.
You think you need to arrive with your speech ready, with your repentance articulated, with proof that this time it will be different. But I am already running. I saw you when you were still a long way off. And what I feel when I look at you tonight is not accumulated disappointment, not impatience. It is the same feeling that made that father lift his robe and run down the road. It is a love that cannot stand still when you are on your way home. And tonight, you are on your way home. It does not matter how long you stayed away. It does not matter what you did out there. It does not matter what condition you arrive in. The Father saw you from a distance, and He is running. Let Him reach you. But perhaps you are thinking something right now. Perhaps the voice inside is saying, "That is a beautiful story, but at least that son took the initiative to return. At least he got up and went. But what about me? I can barely move. I can barely find the strength to take the first step." I heard that thought, and that is exactly why I told 2 other stories before that one. A man has 100 sheep. One gets lost, and he, without hesitating, without calculating whether the effort is worth it, without deciding that 99 is a good enough number, leaves the 99 and goes after the one that wandered off. He does not send someone else. He goes himself. He does not wait for the sheep to find its way back on its own. He goes to where it is. And when he finds it, notice it does not say if he finds it. It says when he finds it, because the shepherd who goes out to search does not come back without the sheep. When he finds it, he does not scold it. He does not drag it back down the road as punishment. And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. Luke 15, verse 5. The weight of the sheep becomes the weight of the shepherd. A woman has 10 coins and loses one. She lights a lamp, sweeps the entire house, and searches every corner with care and determination until she finds it. And I want you to notice something in that story. The coin did not look for the woman. The coin did nothing. The coin was lost, motionless, in the dark, with no ability to move on its own. And yet, it was found. If tonight you are in a place where you cannot move, if the weariness is so deep that the idea of taking any step at all seems impossible, if you are in the dark and cannot even see where the way out is, you do not need to move. I know where you are, and I do not put out the lamp until I find you. That is not a conditional promise. It is absolute. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. John 10:27 and 28. No one will snatch them out of my hand. Not your doubt, not your weariness, not your mistakes, not the weight you carry, not the voice that tells you that you are not enough. No one, nothing. You are in my hand, and my hand does not open. I know you by name, not as a number in the middle of a crowd, by name. Just as that woman knew each coin that was hers, I know you with an intimacy that goes beyond what any human relationship can reach. I know what makes you laugh. I know what keeps you awake. I know what you hide. Now I need to take you to a specific night, the heaviest I ever lived in human flesh, the night before the cross, when I knew exactly what was coming and the hours were numbered. And what I chose to do that night was sit with those I loved and speak about them, not about myself, about them, about you. I washed feet that night, the work of the lowest servant. I, who had created every molecule of water in that basin, who had formed the very hands I was washing, who had the entire universe under my authority, knelt down and washed feet covered in road dust, because I wanted them to understand in a way that no words could. My love comes down, draws near, and touches what is dirty without any trace of disgust. And then I looked at those men, who within a few hours would flee, deny, and disappear, and said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. I am going to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me." John 14:1-3. I am preparing a place for you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John 14:27. The peace the world offers depends on favorable circumstances, on problems resolved, on a guaranteed future. It breaks when life breaks. My peace is different. It comes from within, from a certainty that runs deeper than circumstances can reach.
And on that very same night I prayed, and I did not pray only for those in the room. I looked beyond that century, beyond that upper room, beyond that generation, and I prayed for you. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message. John 17:20. 2,000 years before you existed, your name was in my prayer. Days later, in a storm on the lake, my disciples were in a boat being swallowed by the waves. Seasoned men who knew that lake better than anyone were afraid of dying, and I was asleep. They woke me in a panic, and I stood up, looked at the wind, looked at the waves, and said, "Quiet, be still." Mark 4:39. And there was a great calm. The storm you are facing is not proof of my abandonment. It is the place where I reveal myself in ways that calm weather does not allow. I am in your boat, not watching from a distance, not waiting on the other shore, but inside the boat with you, in the middle of that same storm, closer than you can feel right now. And when the time comes, I will speak, and there will be a great calm.
It was still dark when Mary Magdalene went to the tomb. She did not go with hope. She went with a love that had lost its direction. She went to the only place where she still knew how to find what she had lost. And the stone had been removed. The tomb was empty. And Mary stood outside, weeping, until I drew near and said one word, just one, her name, Mary. She recognized me, not by my face, but by my voice, by the way I pronounced her name with the same intimacy she had always known. And then I said something I want to travel through this entire night and reach you right now in this moment. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. John 20:29. You are that person. Tonight, without seeing with physical eyes, you chose to stay and listen. You chose, with a weary heart and a faith that may seem far too small, to remain in my presence for one more moment. That is faith. And over that faith, I declared, blessed, the same word with which I opened the Sermon on the Mount, the same declaration of favor and closeness to the kingdom. I am not leaving. I was here before this night began. I will be here when you wake up tomorrow. I will be here in the middle of the day when the weight returns, because sometimes it does return, and that is not your failure. It is simply the reality of someone who is being sustained by me day after day. I have no closing time. I have no limit on availability. You are my son, my daughter, made in my image, not as an imperfect copy, but as a carrier of my own likeness. You are not your worst week. You are not your greatest mistake. You are not the weight you carry, nor the voice that condemns you, nor the weariness you feel tonight. You are loved by me with a love that existed before you existed, and that will continue long after everything you know. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Isaiah 40:29-31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Not those who have everything figured out, those who stayed, those who chose to keep coming back to me even without having all the answers. You did that tonight. You stayed, you listened, you chose with a weary heart and a faith that may seem far too small to remain in my presence for one more moment. That
matters. It always has. And now I will tell you the last thing of this night. I have not finished writing your story. The chapter you are living right now, the hardest, the heaviest, the one you do not know how it will end, is not the last one. I am the author, and I do not abandon what I write halfway through. Go and rest now. Go in my peace. I am with you. I always have been. I always will be. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear the voice of God tonight. And if you have not yet subscribed, stay around. There are more moments like this one waiting for you.